Thank you. Today is Friday, February 20th. This is a special meeting of the Minnetonka City Council. We are here to interview candidates for the Ward 2 Council vacancy. We'll start with doing a roll. And Mr. Funk, would you like to start?
Mike Funk, City Manager. We'd like to go around the room.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, Mike Funk, City Manager. Oops.
Patsy Foster Bolton, Ward 1. Sorry.
No, Mike Funk, City Manager.
Kimberly Wilburn at large.
Paula Romeo in Ward 3.
Rebecca Scheck, Mayor.
Deb Calvert, at-large, seat A.
Kizzy Coakley, Ward 4.
Eric Nilsson, City Attorney.
Sarissa Saraki, Senior Management Coordinator.
Okay, thank you. And we have Miranda Diamond coordinating the applicants in the other room. So what we will do is I think we've scheduled the first applicant to start their interview at 2:55. Is that correct?
Yep.
So just as far as process, we've got questions that we have prepared in advance to ask each applicant. Each applicant has 30 minutes that we've slated for their interview. We will let them know ahead of time that there are 8 questions and that we have 30 minutes, and we'll get through as much as we can, and hopefully all of them in that amount of time. Council will take notes on these candidate sheets. There's one for each candidate. Why does it say panelist? Oh, I get it. Okay. So you're going to put their name on as the candidate. You're going to put your name on as the panelist. And then this is where you'll keep your notes. And when we finish, or however each individual wants to do it, we've got ranking sheets which were a part of the packet. That person will rank them at the end of the interviews on Monday and use that to identify the person that we've decided to appoint. Eric, did I miss anything?
No, that's correct, Mayor Scheck. And just to reiterate process, on Monday at the conclusion of the final interview, the votes will ultimately, or the rankings will ultimately be tabulated and then the results announced on Monday at the open meeting.
Excellent. Council, any questions?
I have a question.
Kizzy.
Will we have the ranking sheet hard copy? Or are we ranking them on our iPad?
Oh, yes. Miranda was going to grab the sheets, so
Okay.
either she'll be back with them or another staff member will go get them from her.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'm just looking for something. Sarissa, can you send, I can't find in the packet or anything, the order?
Yeah.
It's in the cover page, so
So is
on,
it-
Oh,
on
is
the,
it?
Are they in
Yeah.
the order of the?
so Eric.
Oh, here it is.
Amanda,
Okay, got
Susan.
it, got it. So we'll start, we're gonna be starting with Eric Bell. Amanda Maxwell will be second, and then we'll finish up today with Susan Martinson and the other remaining 2 candidates. Hamilton Hines and Steve Adams, I believe, right? No, that's not right. Is that right?
I think that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
Are going to be scheduled on Monday. Anything else from council? Otherwise, we'll just wait till we're ready for our first candidate. Hello, Mr. Bell. Go ahead and
The mic button.
Hi, Patsy Swanson.
Hi, Eric.
hello. Hi, I'm Rebecca. Good to see you.
I'm Deb.
Kizzy. So you're going to take a seat right there in the chair. If you would please put that microphone, it doesn't amplify your voice, but it does record. So just put it right on your lapel, and then inevitably you'll forget to take it off when you leave, but we'll try to remind you.
Probably.
Well, welcome. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your interest in this position. You went around and introduced yourself, so we won't take the time kind of to do that, but our name tags are in front of us if that's helpful. We've got you slated for 30 minutes, and we've got 8 questions. So we're going to do our best to get through as many of those as we can in that 30 minutes, but we'll just conclude the interview at the 30-minute mark. So we'll get right into it, and I will start with the first question. Please provide a brief background about yourself and what makes you the best candidate for the Ward 2 position.
Sure. Well, I think it starts with I teach piano for a living now. I've been doing that for about 25 years. And that's something that happened, as I was winding down at Gustavus. I was working at a summer camp, and all these other counselors are playing guitar, and I was doing a little piano teaching at Gustavus. And I just realized there, people need piano in this world too. So I've been doing that ever since college. So I teach at Schmidt Music right now. And also what brought me to the area was, it's called now the Franklin Center in Golden Valley, but it was called the School of Whole Learning that was just down the road for several years here. So I just moved to the area because it was far more convenient, and I was happy to do so. It's just beautiful out this way. And Minnetonka has a great reputation. It's something I knew, I grew up about an hour north of the cities, fairly small town. But I had just a neighbor up there had a cabin, who lived in Minnetonka, so I've known about Minnetonka from early ages. So.
Excellent. All right. Patsy?
Hi.
Hi.
So what are the impacts of Minnetonka's changing demographics on the community? And what role, if any, should the city council have in addressing those changes?
Sure. Do you mind repeating the first question? I didn't
Sure.
quite-
What are the impacts of Minnetonka's changing demographics on the community?
What are the impacts? I think there are those adjustments, that there are people come to town with different cultures and different ways of doing things. And so I think that's something where some people can react kind of defensively or maybe kind of fearful of concern that they're going to be trying to push some sort of culture or whatever. But on the other hand, we could, see benefit in that they have different ways of thinking. And so I hope, to embrace those different ideas and not be fearful of them.
And then the second part is how, what role, if any, should the city council play in addressing those changes?
Right. Certainly we need to listen to, we have these weekly meetings, and so if these people have concerns, I hope that they would feel like this is a welcome place for them to share their concerns, their questions. I guess just along those lines, I approached city council myself a couple of years ago. I don't know if any of you remember that, but my thought at the time was, something along junk fees, you know, that, and then the state went ahead and, you know, forbidding that. But that was just something to me. I wish like we could do something about that. And so it was, you know, it was nice to see that Minnesota went ahead and eliminated that. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but so with that, I mean, my experience when I approached was, you know, I shared my concerns, and I understand that it was just kind of a random topic, but, you know, I was a bit disappointed that no one, you know, reached out to me after that. And so that's something that I feel like coming here is like, if people are coming, I want to make sure that the council is responding to everybody. And I don't know if, you know, it was just a random thing I slipped through the cracks, but I mean, just in my experience, I could see that other people could feel like they're not being listened to. Thank you.
Great. All right, Kimberly?
Make my notes here. Tell us how you view redevelopment in Minnetonka. What are we doing well, and what could be done differently?
Redevelopment, can you define, just in broad terms, what do you mean by that?
So Minnetonka is considered a built city, so there's not a lot of vacant properties.
Mm-hmm.
So when any development that takes place or most of the development that's taking place in Minnetonka will be redevelopment. So
Mm-hmm.
a builder might come in and see a building and say, we want to make it Dunkin' Donuts or
Sure.
whatever. Something.
Yeah, I mean, I did just read a little something today about a senior living center, you know, where they were looking at tearing some down, some, you know, existing building that's not being used or whatever the story is. I mean, I'm assuming that Minnetonka, like any city, is going to be evolving to some degree, and so trying to adapt to how maybe ages or demographics or whatever are changing, that we're just evolving along with, you know, the people who are living here and the needs that are coming to the city.
Do you have any opinions on what the city is doing well around redevelopment, or where we need improvement?
Let's say I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, I know that there's a lot of emphasis on infrastructure and just making sure that, you know, we're getting up to speed with those things. I guess I know with, say, the Marsh, you know, that was something that the city took over, and that seemed like a good move to not just, I don't know, let it sit there vacant. Like, so I have yet to be back there since the city has taken it over there, but I haven't heard any negatives about that transition.
Thank you. All right. Paula?
So what part, if any, should the city council play to ensure a range of housing options in Minnetonka?
So do you mean like keeping affordable housing in mind? That kind of thing?
Just, yeah, a range, everything from, but including that in the mix.
Yeah. Well, so certainly there's just all the existing homes that are just going to continue to, you know, trade from buyer to seller, seller to buyer. But so I do know that the affordable housing is an important feature, right? I mean, Minnetonka is not known as just a cheap place to live, certainly. But we want to make it affordable so different people can come here, not just those who have all the money. So, I mean, I live in an HOA myself, and there's, I don't know if any of others of you live in an HOA right now, but there's been a kind of a troubling trend. There was the collapse of the condo down in Florida around like 2021, where about 100 people died, and then there's been all kinds of state and federal mandates. So, and a lot of these HOAs are struggling to get up to these new codes, especially with insurance and things like that. So I know my dues at this HOA are just fairly high, and so I don't know if Minnetonka, you know, could take any role in relieving some of this pressure that the HOAs are feeling. But I live in what I've heard is the largest HOA in the state, the Greenbrier near Hopkins High School. And there's many other condos there, so I imagine they're all, I mean, I have a neighbor across the street in a different, they're feeling a lot of pressure in the same way.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do you support the city's current budgeting and taxation approach, and what changes, if any, would you make?
When it comes to city taxes, I mean, I would guess that would be related to just add on to the sales tax. There's a portion of the property sales, property tax. So, I mean, the city needs to create revenue. I feel like those are fair avenues. I'm not super familiar with all the different taxes beyond that. But those aren't things that I've heard, like wide complaints about. Like I said, I mean, in my area, it's more just HOA things than say that property taxes are getting too burdensome.
Deb?
So, do you believe the role of city council is to make choices based on what's best for the community long term, or to do what's important to residents today, and why?
Mm-hmm. Well, it would seem like there would need to be some balance, right? I mean, there's going to be people who see some immediate need today. And, I mean, we need to have the foresight to say, well, that is true. And so that can be, a narrow path to find that balance of satisfying people today, but also just having the wisdom to say we need to keep these things in mind down the road, right? So, so that's something in this role. Like suddenly, people from Ward 2 are going to be, potentially emailing me and saying, "There's all these things," and those are the things that I have to prepare, or learn how to handle is addressing these concerns. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of merit in their concerns or their ideas, and maybe they're right. Maybe those are things to do. So I guess we'll see as we go, yeah.
Izzy?
How will you navigate complex and potentially controversial council decisions, especially when your views differ from staff recommendations, fellow council members, or neighborhood perspectives?
Sure. Well, I know that I would have one vote and only one vote, right? So I'm not going to assume that my one vote is going to matter than 5, 6 other votes. I can certainly share my concerns. I mean, dissenting is a natural thing that people can do, right? So I don't, see many issues where I would be varying from what the consensus is right now. So I don't immediately see where those conflicts might be. But I mean, I understand that we just all have different opinions, and I'm never going to assume that everybody thinks like me, or people think just like us in Ward 2. But I hope that we can all just share our differences respectfully and respect that we do come from good places. We're acting in good faith, no nefarious agendas or whatever behind the scenes. Yeah.
All right. This is the last substantive question, so I think it's a good one. What motivated you to apply, and what are your goals for the seat and the city if you're selected?
Sure. Well, unfortunately, I mean, it was Alex Preddy's death, and just feeling that things are just kind of unraveling in the metro area. Just how much animosity there is, how much concern, and so I just get kind of chills thinking about that, and I feel just a lot of pain out there. I feel like though facing a lot of difficult situations that I don't raise my voice out of those things, I'll still remain calm and try to find a peaceful solution to this. So, you know, thankfully, it seems like some of the worst of that is behind us, but I mean, it seems like we have a long ways to go. So I just remember driving in the car when it was like, okay, I need to really step up, and then I see this newsletter from the city that you're looking for someone in my neighborhood. So, yeah, I mean, the timing was quite a coincidence, but so I see it as a very good place for me to start. I mean, for me to try. I mean, I see this as more or less an interim position. I've taken those roles before. I know that there's 20 other applicants, and I mean, I'll be honest. When I heard that there were 20, I have not lived here a long time. Like, so I could say, well, there's going to be some other people with better connections or whatnot. But I did see, like, you know, in your own bio that you're, I don't know, relatively more recent to the area than some of the others here, that you were appointed as well. And I'm like, okay, I guess it looks like we're taking a sort of a similar path, even though I know we have very, very different professional background. But nonetheless, you know, I think we both are. I'm also a very active chess player. So I've represented Minnesota, like in the U.S. Chess League, along some of the better players in the state. And so that is what I bring, is a strong sense of objectivity. At one point, I was thinking pre-med. I mean, I went to Gustavus as pre-med, and so I had the science background and did the biology and the chemistry and all that. Obviously, I shifted away from that, but yeah, so I just feel like I have a lot of different experience in working with all ages and all different backgrounds. I've worked with Music Link Foundation that helps students from lower income families get piano lessons. And so I've helped lead fundraisers with that over in St. Paul. I got away from that, you know, during COVID and all that. But, you know, it has crossed my mind about trying to do that, maybe out this way more now that I live out here.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, want to give you an opportunity, and there's a little bit of time if you'd like, if you have anything else you'd like us to know or any closing remarks.
Well, I mean, this is just a very exciting opportunity. I feel like I appreciate that, you know, I walked in here very nervous. My heart is racing, and I appreciate that you have not been, you know, very intimidating.
We're not an intimidating bunch.
Fellow music major.
I saw that music history, yes, yeah. So I mean, I appreciate that you all have those different hobbies, and it doesn't feel like any of you are just like politicians, you know, like, and when I've gone to the council meetings in the past, that things just seem very relaxed, you know, and very respectful. And I've talked to some people that says there are some different broad ranges of political views. I don't know specifically, but, you know, I appreciated that whatever those are, that, I don't know, I never saw any animosity amongst people, that I'm glad that you're all getting along. And I would feel like, you know, I would do my best to just fit in. And so, but yeah, I mean, it would be a very special opportunity to be able to represent those from Ward 2.
Excellent. Well, Eric, thank you so much for coming in today and for the interest in the position and the commitment to the city. And we've got more interviews to do. We'll ultimately be making a decision next week, so you'll know that pretty quickly. And that one way or another, you know, stay connected and stay involved in the city, and we're happy to have you a part of our community. So,
Okay.
and I'll
Thank you.
remind you of your microphone.
Yes, thank you.
Good call. Do you have your little post-it note?
I've seen someone before that. Yeah.
Can you say that? Can you say that?
Yeah, you can. I'm just being nosy because I don't.
Hello, Amanda. We'll give you a minute to get settled. Put your microphone on. As you know, the microphone won't amplify your voice, but it will pick it up for the recording.
All right.
So for the benefit of time, I think you know who we all are, so we will skip the introduction portion, and we'll just let you know. So we have 8 questions, and you have 30 minutes. And so we're going to get as far as we can in the 8 questions in that period of time, and then we'll end at 30 minutes. So we will get started right away with the first question, which is, please provide a brief background about yourself and what makes you the best candidate for the Ward 2 position.
Sure. So I'll start in the current state and I'll work backwards, sort of telling you about myself. Currently, I'm the chair of the City of Minnetonka Planning Commission. So I run the meetings there, lead public hearings, gathering input from our constituents across the entire city, not just Ward 2. So I facilitate those discussions, and I've been on the Planning Commission since 2020, so 6 years that I've been doing that role. I highly value that public input, the debate, how it's nonpartisan, and we're trying to make an objective decision to our laws, ordinances, requiring sometimes, as I say at the beginning of the meeting, balancing individual rights with community responsibility. So I appreciate that piece of that body. Professionally, I am a research and development manager in the biomedical device industry. I work for Boston Scientific. So I manage a team of several scientists and engineers, some of whom have PhDs, some of whom are hands-on in the lab. So I give guidance to them, and I have to make decisions and recommendations on complex technical issues. Sometimes the team is aligned, sometimes we are not, and we have to influence each other based on data in a objective way. And I see that's a lot of the role that aligns with the role of a council member as well. Gather data and make a recommendation objectively.
Great. All right, now we're just going to go down the line. So Patsy, when you're ready, she has the next question.
So what are the impacts of Minnetonka's changing demographics on the community? And what role, if any, should the city council have in addressing those changes?
When you say changing demographics, I can see that question from, say, age, for example, that we're an aging community. And I can also see it from sort of a socioeconomic diversity or cultural diversity perspective. So I'll answer it from both of those perspectives. So from the age perspective, we've worked to increase housing diversity in the city. I think we need to continue doing that, allowing people to age in place where they can or to move to the type of housing that fits for them. We also work to make the city more walkable. So an example would be we have the Avador in the Ward 2 right by Ridgedale, so it's walkable to most services that you would need with a nice park by it so people can get outside. So that's an example of something where anyone, regardless of your demographic, could benefit from that. And then from a more cultural diversity perspective, I think the City Council recently has done a good job with bringing in the DEI Commission and thinking about diversity from some, not just say race or religion, but an example recently would be at city events that are for families. They now have a nursing mother's tent. That's something that I have not utilized here, but I've utilized that in other places. So an example, having a broad definition of diversity, and without the council pushing that type of activity, I don't think it would happen naturally. I think that's an important type of initiative that the City Council can lead going forward to make us a more welcoming community for everybody.
Great. All right, Kimberly, when you're ready.
So tell us how you view redevelopment in Minnetonka, and what are we doing well, and what could be done differently? This is your
This is a
area.
big one. And Ward 2 is such a and a poster child for redevelopment. So some recent examples would be, I live right off of Plymouth, and there are two massive single-family developments going on right there, where they're tore down an old single-family house on a big lot and have subdivided it into 5 or 6 larger lots that will be multi-million-dollar homes. We've also had north of the highway, there's the Burke, there's the Vale multi-family complex where we took down a smaller, an aging building and are building it up. And those are examples of, that I think have been important for the city and bring value to the city, revitalizing aging buildings, investing in our future. I also appreciate that we are trying to preserve single-family neighborhoods, maintaining their character. We have the strong tree ordinance that's protecting that environmental impact that a lot of Minnetonka residents say they move here for and that they value. So keeping an appropriate amount of development in appropriate places, I think, is important, particularly in Ward 2.
Great. All right, Paula.
What part, if any, should the City Council play to ensure a range of housing options in Minnetonka?
One thing that I think will help ensure a range of options is this new revamping of the zoning code. So, for example, examining setbacks from the road may allow different types of housing, different sizes of housing, may allow housing on lots that previously were considered too small or unbuildable. So I think that's an example of a place where the council sets the code that determines what types of housing are allowable. Another area that the council plays a big role is in the financing, particularly for affordable units. And that I have not had much experience with on the Planning Commission. That's we left to the EDAC, and it's an area I'm interested in growing in right away if I would be on the council.
Great. Do you support the city's current budgeting and taxation approach? And what, if any, changes would you make?
I was at a special session, I think at the end of December, where there was a presentation on the prioritized budgeting approach that's new to the city, and I think that is a great idea. I'm very excited to see where that goes. It makes sense that we need alignment on where we spend our money with what our priorities are. And to not already have visibility to that, I think, is a problem. And so going through this exercise of understanding exactly where everything goes and how it aligns with our priorities is crucial. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, awesome. Deb, you're up.
All right. Do you believe the role of the City Council is to make choices based on what's best for the community and long term, or to do what's important to residents today, and why?
Oh, that is such a good question. Because the residents of the future aren't here to speak for themselves, and nobody knows what that future holds. We do need to have foresight. When we are doing development, these buildings will be here for 20, 30 years. So it would be short-sighted to think, what does this one neighbor who lives in this one single-family home today, to have them as a single voice impact the next 20, 30 years when they may be a transient voice in that conversation. So it's important to hear their view, yes, and to consider that view, but it cannot be the only consideration. So if I had to pick one or the other, to your question, Councilmember Calvert, I would pick the longer term. And that could be difficult in a public hearing if you have a particularly one resident who is quite upset about something. So it's important there to remain objective and think through the whole evidence and all of the whole story.
Kizzy.
How will you navigate complex and potentially controversial council decisions, especially when your views differ from staff recommendations? fellow council members, or neighborhood perspectives?
Yeah, this is another good question. This has happened on Planning Commission a couple of times, well, several times, where we have disagreed, as either as a body or me personally have disagreed with the staff recommendation. And in that case, I can point to where does this meet with code and the 2040 comp plan, where does this meet with where the city wants to go, and that can be the objective piece of it. The difficulty is when there's something else emotional that's attached, and that can be a challenge, again, particularly in those public hearings. So the way I deal with that essentially is trying to remain objective, point to the letter of the law, and argue that point, and to remain civil. We're not attacking each other. We might attack each other's ideas, and we do this in science all the time. You have a hypothesis, it could be wrong. You have to test it, add data, challenge others to make sure that we end up with the very best thing at the end. And that can be done in a healthy, respectful way.
Great, thank you. All right, this is the last substantive question, but I think it's an important one. What motivated you to apply, and what are your goals for your seat in the city if selected?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've had multiple people reach out to me asking if I would be willing to apply, even as early as the summer, knowing that that Councilmember Shack was applying for the mayoral position. And originally my response was, no, I don't think that's for me. Part of it was time commitment. Part of it was fear of safety. For example, Melissa Hortman's family was killed, and so being in public service seemed to have kind of a high risk for my family. So that was originally my thought, but the more I contemplated it over the fall and the winter, it seemed like I have a duty to serve. So I would be looking to listen to the people of the ward. I know this wouldn't be an officially elected position, but even if it elected or not, I would be there to represent the voices of the people in that ward, and that would be the most important part. And sometimes that might even disagree with what my personal opinion is. It's representing the people of the ward. So that would be what I would be looking to do.
Excellent. Anything else you'd like us to know, or any closing remarks that you have for us?
Oh, I am so excited by the opportunity to serve in this. I'm also excited by the number of really excellent candidates that we got from this ward. So whether it's me or whether it's somebody else, I know this is going to be a great 2-year term. You've got some really good candidates. So I would be happy to serve if you pick me, and I would be happy to give all my opinions to the rep you choose if it's not me.
Awesome. Well, Amanda, thank you so much, and thank you for your interest, your application, taking the time to be here, and mostly for your service to Minnetonka on the Planning Commission. It is such an integral part of how we make our decisions, so we're really grateful for you. As you, I think, know, we will be interviewing one more person today, 2 people on Monday, and then we'll be making the decision then on Monday, so stay tuned. And you'll know one way or another how this goes then. So thank you again, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Stay warm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, Susan. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Well, the microphone doesn't amplify your voice, but we use it. It picks up the recording. So it's an important piece of technology that we have here.
Excellent.
We will go just across, starting with Patsy, and introduce ourselves briefly here.
Hi, Patsy, Ward 1.
Okay.
Hi, Kimberly Wilburn, at large.
Hi, I'm Paula Ramaley, and I represent Ward 3.
Rebecca Shack, I'm the mayor.
Deb Calvert, at-large, CA.
Kizzy Coakley, Ward 4.
We're so glad you're here, and thank you for putting in an application and considering the position. We have 30 minutes, as you know, And we have 8 questions, so we're just going to go along. I think we should be able to get through all of them, but if we don't, we'll end at 30 minutes one way or another. And so we'll just get right into it. The first question is, please provide a brief background about yourself and what makes you the best candidate for the Ward 2 position.
So I'm Susan Martinson, and I am a long-term resident of Minnetonka. I'm interested in being on City Council because I really love this community. I think we're a thriving and a very successful community, and I'd like to be part of continuing to contribute to that success. My background as a special education teacher equips me to be on the council because as a teacher, we do much work with stakeholder collaboration, individualized policy making, budgeting resources, negotiations, collaboration, stakeholder collaboration. So I think that that type of public service gives me a background. And then it's just, you know, wanting to see this community to continue to thrive and wanting to be part of that.
Great. All right, Patsy.
So, what are the impacts of Minnetonka's changing demographics on the community? And what role, if any, should the City Council have in addressing those changes?
I think it's very important that the City Council is inclusive and makes opportunity to hear all perspectives and all voices. As the community changes, there's always different perspectives and different concerns that people have. And I mean, I think that we need to hear all those concerns as we make policy and make sure we're communicating also with how things we decide benefit all those different perspectives.
Right. Kimberly? Well, when you're ready, take your time, no pressure.
Okay. Tell us how you view redevelopment in Minnetonka. What are we doing well, and what could be done differently?
Okay. Well, I think some of the concerns we might have in Minnetonka are, you know, housing affordability, is some of our aging infrastructure, and some of the impacts that new development has on traffic flow and things like that. So I think we have to consider that every decision we make, as far as development though, will affect different people in different ways. So, you know, business people might be affected, older members of the community might be affected, newer members moving in can be affected in a different way. And I think we want to work towards growing the community with respect towards what's already here. And I think we just have to really understand the impact of every decision.
Thank you. What, if any, role should the City Council play to ensure a range of housing options in Minnetonka?
That's interesting, because I was just thinking about this. We have a nice start with a range of housing. We have, I was just thinking in my neighborhood, we have condos, rentals, townhouses, single-family homes, executive home, planned communities, all within walking distance of where I live. And I know that in areas driving distance from me, we have the same type of thing. But on the same token, we have some aging properties, right? We have some aging properties and some single-family homes that are, how do I want to say this, that maybe are in need of renovation or even a whole neighborhood renovation. But I think we want to be careful because we have like this affordability range and then some very exclusive range of housing. And I would like to see us really think of how we might get that middle ground and attract those single home families who are moving way out of the cities now to be able to afford, you know, that dream of the little single family home. Maybe there's things we can do like partner with developers or subdivide lots or this kind of thing to build some of these smaller starter homes.
All right. Do you support the city's current budgeting and taxation approach? And what changes, if any, would you make?
I think we'd really want to evaluate the, evaluate how that's being, not how that's being, but what it's being allocated to, and make sure that we're making the right priorities. I think we probably want to prioritize some of these, this aging infrastructure and maybe some of the development. And we could partner with our state and federal partners on that as well, but I think we want to make sure we're prioritizing some of those things. I'm an educator, so of course I want to see our schools continue to thrive. But I think we want to make sure that we're not pricing people out of their homes, especially not our older members of the community, and then we want to just be very responsible with the money we are collecting.
Right. Deb, when you're ready, no rush.
Do you believe the role of the city council is to make choices based on what's best for the community and long term, or to do what's important to residents today, and why?
I think a little bit of both. But if we're making long-term decisions that may seem to affect people negatively in the short term, then I think we really need to think about how we're going to inform people and get the buy-in for that. Because maybe it is the best decision to plan for the long term, but we need to then really communicate with the community why they might have to have a change that they don't see as very positive in the short term.
All right, Kizzy.
How will you navigate complex and potentially controversial council decisions, especially when your views differ from staff recommendations and fellow council members or neighborhood perspectives?
Well, I think it's one of the council's values, and then it's something I've learned in my workplace is that our decisions should be data-driven. We should be collecting the information. We should have good reasons for what we're doing. And when we have those good reasons, we should be able to communicate that and talk pragmatically. You know, I don't think that I don't think that I would want to get into real emotional discussions or disagreements. I would want to hear the perspectives, hear the reasons, and see what the data says, and then we can communicate on a very practical level, I think.
Right, thank you. All right, the last substantive question is, what motivated you to apply, and what are your goals for the seat and the city if selected?
I think I've been wanting to be more involved with the city council for a long time. You know, I read the information Minnetonka puts out, which I appreciate is very readable, and we get a lot of information. And I like to communicate it in my neighborhood with my neighbors. And I have often thought of becoming just more involved, just to be doing that communication piece and to be understanding the issues. And when I saw this opportunity, I thought it would be an excellent opportunity to step in and see how I could contribute and how that would fit in.
Great. All right, and we want to give you an opportunity to share anything else that our questions didn't hit on, or if you have any closing remarks, share those with us.
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity, the way this was opened up, so that people could apply and be welcome to into the process. I guess I would really like to express my enthusiasm, but also my openness to learning. If I were to jump into this position, I would realize that I'm a new member and that I would want to be very open and learning as I'm participating.
Great. Well, we're so grateful for you applying and for coming in this afternoon. We have, as I'm sure you know, we have 2 more candidates that we're going to interview on Monday.
Okay.
And then we'll be making a decision on Monday as well, so you don't have a long time to wait. You'll know of that. And no matter what happens, what I can tell you is that we encourage you to stay involved. So whether you're selected for this position or something else comes up, there are all kinds of ways to be a part of the city and apply for boards and commissions and those kinds of things. So please stay involved one way or another. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then just remember, you have your microphone there.
All right.
Well, have a good weekend. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
So
We can, or you can take it, then you have to be responsible for it.
Should we put our names on it?
Yeah, it'll go to green and just up.
Sarissa, if we leave these, do you want us to put our name on the folder? or-
I'm trying to turn it on. To say, okay, here we go. So that concludes our agenda for today. We will reconvene for the remaining 2 interviews on Monday, but for today, our meeting is adjourned.